Hello! I truly hope you're surviving the apocalypse out there, in here, or wherever the hell we are. I'm picking up on somebody that is in a rut, trying to figure out how to get out of an emotionally draining situation. It's like you can't leave it though. You're struggling to leave a situation that's draining you emotionally, and you're being held back by things that you're indulging in, which is creating this imbalance and not allowing you to move forward or to be successful, because there's some sort of karmic pattern in your DNA that ancestor to ancestor has been passed down to you now. The baton is in your hand. And in order for you to overcome this, could be anything, it could be anything. And this challenge is to stop resisting. Now, how annoying is that to hear, right? It's annoying to hear that, because when you're depressed and you're riddled with anxiety and you're struggling to sleep, how are you going to work? Like, how are you going to make the effort to change this thing when you just need the comfort? You're comforted by something. Something is filling your cup because in replacement of the thing you're actually seeking. This could be donuts, okay? Like some sort of thing that your 8-year-old self didn't get, you know, our inner child didn't receive, fulfill, or a dream that you have that you did not live, has you feeling really stuck and trapped in a pattern where you keep putting yourself back into a situation through comfort. So there's a comfort that you have that's keeping you unbalanced. And the reason you can't see ahead is because you have tricked yourself into believing this thing that you find comfort in is the thing that you're seeking. And it's not, because your inner child knows that. But we have to sit with ourselves and meditate and find this truth, to see the patterns, to break the cycles. What does your inner child want to say? What's some motivation here that your inner child wants to say? Your inner child still has a voice. What would it like to say? It says, I am with our ancestors. Interesting. So I'm seeing now your inner child, your younger self, being held by your bloodline. And this is warming your heart and keeping you safe, keeping your inner child safe while you explore these other things, because somewhere on the path you got pushed off, which is why you've been in depression. So this depression that I'm picking up on, this anxiety, this lack of sleep, is actually trying to get you to sit with yourself long enough and still enough and quiet enough to get you to see the pattern that you keep repeating, that your ancestors, that your family line has kept repeating. How do we break this? Or how do we want to say that? I wish you love and happiness. What better thing to do when something that we love, someone that we love, is self-destructive, but to send them some sort of love and happiness. So your inner child and your ancestors are sending you love and happiness because they know how hard it is for you right now. To even get up to go to work is rough. This is a struggle, and you're trying to activate this new beginning, and you certainly sense it. You sense it far into the future, but it's so dark. It's so clouded. And a lot of times when we don't create our future, not a lot of times, when we don't create our future, it creates itself for us due to the patterns that we create. So until we break this cycle, until we become spiritually strong enough, the pattern consistently repeats itself. I watch you with your family. I'm sensing a parent that struggles to wake up every day for their kids. Because of how, so there's a lot of shame and guilt here. It's like you want to create a future that is more fulfilling, because up until this point, you're like, what have I been doing with my time? Besides wasting it and falling back into these patterns of weight gain or like I'm feeling somebody very ashamed. And while that's sad, and we can sit in grief and sorrow for as long as we need to, I'm also sensing someone very motivated to change. You have enough willpower to overcome this. And understand it's not you alone. Like, you're really going to benefit from holding on to your team right now, spiritually or physically, whoever your team is, because I'm feeling like you're pushing away help, whether that's coming from the spirit world or if it's in the real world, not the real world, the physical world. But you're having a hard time balancing all of this. It's a lot to handle. And you're feeling like giving up, defeated. And I don't know if you want to give up, but you certainly feel defeated. How do we create a better future here? What's the next step here? What's a good next step to take? Exchanging gifts, which is just what I said, reaching out to your team. You see how the cat is reaching out to this ballerina fairy, and it's really about receiving and giving. So you have support, but you're pushing it away because something's missing. There's a gift inside of you that you're not utilizing because you're overburdened. It's almost like we have, how do you say that? So I'm seeing there's a reason that there's constantly a reflection around us of many different things to help us see where we're going. Because if we're in a light dimension, like this is all light reflecting and transmuting a picture of some kind to us, and all the little things, if we can identify the patterns, it's like breadcrumbs into the direction we're supposed to be going. But right now it's hard for you to see those breadcrumbs because you're very overburdened with wanting to get out of an emotional situation that's just too much. You didn't foresee it being here, because a lot of times we think that we can control the reality, as in we can plan the outcome. But a lot of times it's not about planning the outcome, but it's about planning the direction, right? How do you say that? Outcome, as in I want to control. So let me say that again. Don't attempt to control the outcome, as in it has to be this way. I have to have a 401k. I have to have a house and a legacy, and it has to be in this city, and it has to be with these family members, and my kids have to go to this school, and my job has to be this, and there has to be security in every left, right, and upside down. It's more like, okay, I want my kids to feel loved, safe, I want them to feel safe, and I want them to always have me in some capacity. Like, it needs to be a little bit more abstract, because it's overburdening you by trying to control every little thing. Like, how am I going to afford college tuition? How am I going to plan 10 years in the future? Well, if anything about the last few years, we've learned we can't do that. There's no guarantee that it's going to be like we think it's going to be. So whoever I'm speaking to, your inner child knows the way. What we have all done is we've silenced that version of us years ago, because that's what our parents did. For the generations of the past, there was a different purpose, right? Everyone had a purpose per generation. And the generations coming up now, the ones making decisions to plan the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it's a very uncertain time. It's also a time to be very innovative, resourceful, and creative. So you have a lot of tools on your belt here that you've turned off because of the depression. So you see this Nine of Swords here. It's like you just want to sleep, you just want to relax, you just want to maybe turn on that TV show and just turn it all off right now, because you literally feel burnt out and exhausted. You don't see success, you don't see any incentive to get up, to do anything, to be innovative. This pattern keeps knocking you down, though. It's not motivating you to go to work, to get up, to do the things that you see. And it's like, well, if I take this action, what is it going to bring? How am I even going to know that? For how uncertain things have been, like, you're just really all over the place, basically. So let's, I'm feeling very career oriented here. So let's pull some career messages and see what's going on. Let's get some direction. Outside of career, though, it would be very beneficial of you to slow down your reality. You're the controller, remember. You do have the ability to give away your power and allow something to control you. But at the end of the day, no, you have every right to cut that tie and take back your power. Now, depending on how deep into it you are, depending on how long it takes you to get back the full reins here. But anything is possible. So don't be so tied up in what you can't do right now, and be more concerned about what you can do. Even if it's something as small as changing one little thing in your reality that maybe makes you feel like that's all I can do. That's shameful. That's not good enough. I need to do better. Like, don't beat yourself up for small wins, because the small wins lead to great wins, to big wins later on. Where do we need to go? Where do we need to go? Me and this light, I'm just like forgetting how to turn on lights lately. So, hello. Hi. Here's the light. Let's turn on the light. Let's wake up, right? Okay. All right. Too much. But that's how, ooh, okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So the thing that you've been struggling to leave behind, struggling to walk away from, there's something that doesn't emotionally suit you. I'm really sensing it's a career that you liked at one point and now you freaking hate it, but it pays the bills. And your inner self, your inner child is like, get me out of here. Like, I'm so done with this place. I'm just gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna take a nap. I'm gonna sit in this corner and I'm not gonna move until you get me out of here. So there's the depression. Well, this has inspired you to try a new thing here. But there's a lot in between you and that thing. So mostly it's a mental limitation. So it's not an actual, I can't do this, but it's a belief. You believe you can't do that because of all the bills piling up or all the obstacles between you and exiting the cage that you're in. Let me take a drink. Fear and doubt limit freedom of action. The reason you're fearful to take this action, here's the action at the end here. You're ready to go. Mentally, you're planning into the future. Your subconscious is rewiring itself. And this limitation is blocking the ideas. So the opportunities that are available to you, you're being blocked from because of how deep and dark you are into a feeling of shame, grief, guilt, sadness, burnout. These things that, so maybe it would be very beneficial to have a gratitude journal / just speaking it. Like, when you're doing all these busy things that you have to do, really closing your eyes and finding 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5 things that you can be grateful for. So you can slowly build up to more and more things, because we often lose sight of the things that we have with us now to be grateful for when we feel like shit. So what resources? So there's resources you have. I mean, they're so close that I think you could go literally touch them right now. So this could be money in a bank account. This could be a house that you own. There's a very, very wise and narrow path that you can take here that your ancestors see very clearly and your inner child sees very clearly, but something you've learned along the journey has you thinking like, I can't have that, I can't do that thing. You could have like a 401k that you could like tap into, something like that here, that's going to get you an opportunity and a time to access this path you're trying to seek, where you're meant to be. Finding the right path, the fit with the soul, the ideal job. So like this challenge you're in, this Rubik's Cube of a mess, it's not impossible, it's just really challenging and difficult. So it's time to think about family life and children. You've thought about family life and children for a long time. Whoever I'm speaking to, you're at least 30, probably older, probably 40s, 50s. And it says, don't sacrifice family for a career. And you have worked so hard for where you are that you're trying to become more emotionally satisfied, but because you're so career mindset, you're so career oriented, it's not fulfilling to actually like sit in that energy. That's like a blockage of yours. And your inner child wants you to know that you're not stuck, you're not so programmed to the point where you can't change or you can't try something new. There is not a too old or too late here. Time to set higher goals. Reducing losses, elimination, and completing a new metamorphosis. So snakes are wise little serpents, aren't they? And a snake is not going to waste its time and energy on old ways of thinking. It's thinking in the actual instinct of the right now decision to survive and to eat. So this is a very instinctual thing that you need to tap into here. I feel like I asked the question in my head. What's the next step to take here? Father, talent for creating and sporting life, positive guiding light within a tribal unit. Look at this, daddy sitting with his baby there, okay? That is a parent sitting with their child looking up at the stars, not worried about money and things and so much security, but rather taking a break to just daydream, night dream, to gaze, to dream a little. What can you dream up here? Isn't that funny? We do that as parents, don't we? We get so caught up in wanting to protect our kids and turn on such a survival mindset that we lose sight of actually playing with them and spending time with them. Because we're like, what do you mean play? I need to provide for you. I'm like drowning here. You don't know the reality here of how much is happening behind the scenes. A lot of times parents have to take on that burden. This is in the negative, so let's see the shadow. Pretension, too much deeper knowledge than you actually possess. So sometimes we know so much stuff in a singular area and we're like really well versed in something. Like you could be an accountant and you can have so much knowledge about being an accountant, and then you step outside of doing that work and you're like, what? Like, what you need from me? Like, I'm just an accountant. Like, everything else is yeah, that's what that is. So there's a lot of time being spent at work. Quality time being spent at work. It's hard to confront. So we've got the beggar. It's hard to confront this. The confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival. Awakens the spiritual authority of humiliation, compassion, and self-esteem. You're in a very fight or flight survival mindset. It would be a benefit to you to really just like turn everything off. One day at a time. Don't think you have to figure it all out today. One choice, everything is a constant one choice. Like today you make a whole bunch of choices and then tomorrow you make a whole bunch more. And it's okay to like make mistakes. We all fall back sometimes. The best thing you could do right now is to not beat yourself up. Your family is grateful for what you have provided for them, but they want you. They want you to be in their lives, not what you provide to them. And this is a perplexed, like, this is a bit of a shock to you because you're like, huh? So this could be very much so like a father trying to provide for a family, a single mother, or maybe the mother's the provider. However it is, maybe it's two parents working extra hard. However it is, there's some sort of parental exchange here where it's imbalanced, where you're giving more time and energy to your work than you are your family, and your family wants you, your family misses you, they need you. And you know this, but you're struggling to get there because of the huge weight, the huge responsibility that you have to your family. And that in itself tells me how much of a good person you are. You're trying to win here at the race to the image, the dream, the American dream that you see that makes sense to you. You're trying to create that and it's failing, and this is frustrating you because you're like, but this is all I know. This is how I know it to be. But you're never too old to learn. We always learn new things, where our mind is always capable to soak in new knowledge. There's new neurons, new DNA activating. We can always access more truth. And this would be a good time to make yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, get you a blanket, cozy up with something or someone that you love, and sit there with that being. It could be a cat, it could be a goldfish, and just reflect on what you have access to that can take some of this responsibility and weight off of you to bring in more emotionally fulfilling times in the future that will free yourself from these limitations that you have and open up your mind to these resources that you can, there's some sort of manipulation that you can do to resources. There's so many things like canceling subscriptions, consolidating debt, or selling things that you have of value that don't bring emotional fulfillment to you, but you just have accumulating in your space, that will bring you into a space that says, this is where I've been trying to be. This feels good. This is amazing. And you'll birth in a brighter future. So that's what I have. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.